the book that I'm talking about today has been a game changer in political literature till date, and it's probably one of the most famous political allegories that has ever been written. So the book I'm talking about is Animal Farm. By the title, you might think it's like some farm tale. That is not it. So it's basically a bunch of farm animals. They get fed up with their human owner, and they decide to get rid of him and run the farm themselves. When you put it like that, it sounds like a very basic children's book, but it is actually a commentary on totalitarianism, revolutions, idealism, and many such themes. So we'll dive into the plot and understand some characters and the significance and what the overall meaning of the book is. So there's a farm named Manor Farm, and the owner of the farm is a very harsh owner. He's a drunkard, and one day there's this wise old pig called Old Major, and he decides to give a speech to all the other farm animals कि हम लोग को revolt करना चाहिए, this is injustice, and they all get inspired. Which emotion do they feel after hearing this speech? एकदम हिल जाते हैं. Elevation. So that is what they feel, and they get inspired, and they are like, okay, let's take over the farm. So the pigs, who are the most intelligent, they take charge. There are two pigs, Napoleon and Snowball. They decide कि we'll stage a revolt and we'll take over. So that is what they do. They overthrow the owner of the farm, and they take over. They change the name of the farm to Animal Farm, and the doctrines that the farm will be run on, they term it animalism, and they form 7 doctrines, okay, 7 commandments, and the most important of them all is all animals are equal. So that is their first commandment. So after the revolt, it's like a whole utopia कि हम लोग ने ऐसे कुछ बहुत cool किया है, and we're going to run this farm, everyone will be equal, there'll be peace, ये सब होता है. And after a while, the two leaders, Napoleon and Snowball, they start falling out. थोड़ा सा arguments होता है. Snowball says कि हम लोग को development चाहिए, windmill बनाना चाहिए, electricity, and then Napoleon is like, नहीं ये ज़रूरत क्या है. So Napoleon has been secretly training some dogs, okay, to overthrow Snowball कि इसको अभी भगाना चाहिए. So that is what he does. He trains the dogs, and one day they chase Snowball out of the farm. अभी animals are like ये क्या हुआ, एक leader भाग गया, what is happening, our government is falling, I mean हाँ. तो he has hired another pig called Squealer. So he is going around telling everyone कि नहीं सब ठीक है, Napoleon ने जो किया सही किया, Snowball was very bad for the farm. So that happens. Napoleon is now the leader, and afterwards, after a few years, Napoleon thinks कि अरे नहीं, windmill तो बनाना चाहिए, मेरा ही idea था by the way, and we should make a windmill. So he puts the other animals to work. सब लोग windmill बना रहे हैं, काम कर रहे हैं, and they build 3 windmills. None of it is working. Okay, so but by this time, Napoleon is the leader of the farm. He has taught himself to walk on 2 legs. He's wearing shirts, he's drinking. One of the rules of the commandment was कि we will not consume alcohol. अभी तो ये सब कुछ करने लगा है. And so this is what happens, and Napoleon is the leader. Now many years pass, and a lot of animals who saw the original revolt, they are not even alive. Only a few animals are alive. And one day they see Napoleon drinking and playing cards with some other farmer, human. Okay, that was also कि humans गलत है. That was also one of the things. So they see him drinking, and they look at both of them, and they realize कि you can't tell the difference between who is the human and who is the pig. ये difference समझ में नहीं आ रहा है animals को. And then they go to see what the commandments are. 7 commandments जो थे वो सब मिट गए हैं. तो all animals are equal वो मिट गया है. And there is there's only one new commandment, that is all animals are equal, but some animals are more equal than others. That is where the book ends. कि जो ओरिजिनल ये था political dogma कितने easily अपने use के लिए change किया जा सकता है. That is the message with what the book ends. So the author of the book is George Orwell. His original name is Eric Blair. A lot of people don't know he was born in India, and he spent his youth in India. Then he went to England to study, and he was against totalitarianism. He was against the communist USSR, and he worked a lot for that. He even like made lists of all the people he knew are spies and then published them. So he was like ऐसे revolutionary guy था. And then he wrote a lot of literature. In one of his interviews, he said that all my work after 1936 that I have written, everything has been against totalitarianism. It's a commentary against totalitarianism. Animal Farm raises this theme that all totalitarian regimes are inherently the same. They want power, they get power, and they want to hold their power. So they'll go to any extent to hold that power, which includes oppressing the lower classes. So that's a very powerful thing that the book raises. Now, the plot of the novel is not just some story that he cooked up. It's a satire for some very real events that happened during the Russian Revolution and during communist USSR rule. So, the revolt, the animal stage, that is actually it's a satire for the Bolshevik Revolution or the Russian Revolution that happened in 1917. And Old Major, the wise old pig, he symbolizes the founding fathers of communism, so Marx and Lenin. And his speech can be seen as a representative of the Communist Manifesto, where people were urged, the lower classes should go and they should go and revolt against the bourgeoisie. So that is what the book said. So Old Major's speech is a symbol of that. Snowball and Napoleon represent Trotsky and Stalin. So that is what their power struggle represents. Trotsky, he wanted to expand the revolution globally, but Stalin, he cared for power, so he did what he could. And the windmill, the building of the windmill, it's a very interesting analogy to Stalin's 5-year plans. He had plans for development and industrialization in the USSR, but none of them worked. Basically, he used them to exploit the lower classes and keep himself in power. And that is exactly what Napoleon also did. So वो windmill बन ही रहा है, कुछ हो नहीं रहा है, पर लोग इधर suffer कर रहे हैं. That is what it represents. And so the end of the book, all animals are equal and some animals are more equal than others. What do you think that represents? Can anyone try? All animals,
hierarchy.
Yeah. So hierarchy of equality. Do you see the irony in that there is equality, but there are different types of equality. That is a very scary thing to say. And an important hierarchy in Animal Farm is hierarchy based on intelligence. Okay, and intelligence is something that is natural, that you're born with. That is what the thing is, assumption is. And in Animal Farm, the pigs who are the smartest, they're at the top. Unke niche, the dogs, okay, again they're smart. Baki jo goats hai, birds hai, they're oppressed. And the reason behind that is the pigs are born intelligent, so they're born to rule. They deserve to rule. And baki log, they're born to suffer. And this is a justification that a lot of totalitarian regimes use. Ki there is inherent inequality in humans, which is why it's to justify the hierarchy. Like the Aryan superiority theory that Hitler used. Ki Aryans are just inherently superior. Or even our caste system in the later Vedic age. Ki तुम्हारा जन्म दलित से हुआ, it means that you are born to, वही है. So that's a justification that is used, that is very scary, and it's used to target people who are marginalized, which Animal Farm exposes. Now, the relevance of the book. The book was published in 1945. ये पुराना कोई तो किताब इसी ने लिखा है. Why do we read it now? अभी 21st century है, India है. Why do we read it now? So, an important reason is that Animal Farm is a very powerful commentary on human nature. That it shows the positive and the negative sides of human nature. At its best, we have a utopian ideal. We are working to strive for it. We fight for our justice. We fight for our cause, and we establish that ideal. And at its worst, it's like humans want power, and they will do anything to keep that power. So it shows this duality in human nature, and you need to be very aware of that, which is what this book does. And the country we are living in today, India, it's marred with a lot of issues like political corruption, concentration of power, and importantly the erosion of our democratic ideals, the ideals that our country was established on. You are seeing trends in its erosion, like the Varieties of Democracy Project in its latest report classified India as an electoral autocracy. They didn't even use the word democracy. Electoral autocracy matlab kya hai? And The Economist categorized the nation as a flawed democracy. Our press freedom index is dropping. It's 150 out of 161. It's one of the most important parts of a democracy. So it's very evident that we're straying away from our ideals, and that is exactly what happened in Animal Farm. So the book is a wake-up call for all citizens to open their eyes and understand the changes that are happening around them. Be sensitive to them, okay? And the ending of the novel, it is grim. Ki the pigs take over, and it seems like there is no hope. But who knows, maybe एक और revolution हो जाएगा, animals वापस revolt करेंगे, pigs Napoleon को overthrow कर देंगे. We don't know. What we know is that in a country like India, reaching this ending that happened in Animal Farm, it is almost impossible. Like, our constitutional framework is such that it is not possible to reach that ending. We have institutions that have been established to control this kind of power, control the concentration of power, but it is undeniable that we are seeing trends in that direction. And Animal Farm shows that all governments inevitably inch towards a totalitarian regime, because governments want power. Economic students will know that it's an exception to the law of diminishing marginal utility. So humans want power, so governments are no exception. So here the novel becomes very important, because it shows us how a totalitarian state is formed, how it comes into power, how it stays in power, how it holds on to its power. And just knowing how this process happens means that we are no longer sheep, right? We cannot be manipulated by agents that want this kind of power. We are sensitive to it. We know what is happening. We see it. We recognize the trends, and we also recognize our own power to stop these trends. So that is a very important thing that this book does. So instead of the book being like an inevitable testimony of a hopeless world, hopeless future that every government is going to inevitably reach, the book gives me hope that we have the ability to stop this. And so in an essay, George Orwell wrote that Animal Farm was the first book in which he very consciously tried to mold his political purpose and artistic purpose into one. And in my humble opinion, he has mastered that. The book is incredible, and it is a timeless classic. The themes in the book resonate globally with different cultures, generations, and it provides a lens for individuals to examine what is happening in their society, what is happening in their political framework. And so I think it is a must read for every citizen of India and every citizen or every young person in the world. So that's what I think about Animal Farm. You should give it a read.